Welcome, teachers. So I'm sure you all got an email late last night from me wanting to meet with you, and there was one purpose in meeting with you. I just wanted to ease the minds of a lot of you. I have not actually spoken to a lot of you on the phone, and I just feel like I was very disconnected from you, and I felt that it would be a good opportunity for me to connect. But then Mr. Estrada, brilliant Mr. Estrada, he's like, why don't we do a video and deploy it out? And then literally he had just said that, and I got an email from Kathy and Nancy saying, hey, can we reconsider? So yes, absolutely. This would be a great kind of blanket for you, because it was going to be the same message for all of you. So, and also the paras. If you're reading this, I really want you to understand that this is about you too, right? Sorry, this is my dog. I don't know if you can see him, but this is Buster. All right, so I just want to welcome you back to school. Really weird, kind of weird times, etc. So with that comes a different kind of framework, all right? We are kind of moving away from the, brick and mortar, if you will, and we're moving into distance learning, which is kind of the unknown, kind of a Star Wars territory, just like the YouTube video I sent out the other day to the scholars. So I want to welcome you back, but literally, I want you to understand that distance learning is going to entail basically the first days of school in April, okay? It's really important that you understand that you're not going to be able to pick up where you left off. If you are doing that already and are successful, bravo, great job. But a lot of you, you have put in 10 to 12 to even 14 hours on webinars and those sorts of things. So this is a video I want to ease your mind. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to go slow so that we can go fast, right? So welcome back to the first day of school, April 13th, right? Well, it's going to be Monday tonight. So today obviously is not April 13th, but you need to remember this is their first days of school. So if you can remember back in August when you had your scholars for the first weeks of school, it was about routines, procedures, routines, procedures, routines, procedures. You need to go back to routines, procedures, routines, procedures, routines, procedures. It's so important. If you don't have that baseline for our scholars, you're not going to have success with distance learning. So what does that look like? Great question. We have never, ever experienced distance learning before, right? But all I do know is that if we are slow, for a fact, I know this for certain, slow, concise, goal-oriented, structures, procedures, routines. If you start slow, eventually you'll be able to speed up the process, okay? So the very first thing you have to do, like you do the first day in August, you establish a schedule for your scholars. I am sending out a video to you all, a YouTube video for the Pledge of Allegiance. I would recommend that you show that every Monday. Every Monday, Mr. Estrada, just like we always have, right? We don't want too much out of the norm. Monday mornings, we had announcements, pledges, and etc. So it's going to be the same thing. So I want you to watch that video I'm going to send you to you, and then in turn, you're going to show your scholars, but you need to watch it first. It's all about schedule. So 8 o'clock, scholars, get out of your jammies, get your clothes on, eat your breakfast, get ready to learn. And we also go over some things about the parents. You want to talk about what we talked about with the parents?
We just provided some information to the parents as to the structure, being able to provide a quiet place, somewhere where they can, focus on what it is they need to do. At the same time, we recognize the fact that we know that it's difficult for some families, that some families have multiple people living in the household, so it is difficult, and we understand that. However, ideally, in an ideal situation, they would have like their own space to be able to focus on what it is that you guys are going to teach. At the same time, we encourage parents, whenever possible, like participate, help them out. Just give them that some sort of structure so that they can be as successful as possible during this time, so that hopefully when we come back, there's not a lot of regression.
Because of our communication with our families, our office staff, Mr. Estrada, myself, we've been contacting families, and one concern is internet, right? So there have been kind of spotty internet sections of the county and the city. So we're working on that. I've communicated that to the superintendent. She's very concerned about that, and she's working on that with all the local Comcast, Spectrum, etc. Also broadband, right? So you have 5 scholars in one house, and so maybe they don't have enough broad width to kind of support all those scholars. So they might have to, unfortunately, kind of chunk up their days. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be perfect. But it is what it is, and we're trying to stay positive. My biggest thing is stay positive, because they are going to read how you're feeling about this, right? And many of our scholars, and I've shared this with you before, they were so excited when they came to get their devices, huh, Mr. Estrada?
They missed the teachers a lot. They, asked about you guys. They were excited. And even on IEPs, like I've had a couple of online IEPs already, and you can hear the students in the background, and they're happy, they're excited. They hear from their teacher, and they're like, oh, like, it's so and so, and they're happy about that. They're happy to hear from you. And another thing that they've been communicating is that they miss their friends. And again, school is something that's social, and it's a big part. It's a big component that they're missing.
So the first week of school, maybe even 2 weeks if it takes, you're going to explore, number 3 is explore all the platforms, okay? Schoology. They have to know how to get to Schoology and then homeroom. So I want to encourage you. So Ms. Presley shared with me what she was doing the first week of school. It was very easy to find, because she said, look for her dog, right? I logged on to Schoology and I looked for a dog. That was her little icon, right? So all of her homeroom, so the kids are getting onto Schoology, okay. That's what we're finding with communicating with the families, all right? But where they're kind of running into problems is they don't know which course to take. If you give them a certain icon, so your cat, your dog, your grandkid, whatever, go ahead and put that up there so you can say, hey, look for Wrigley, look for the dog, look for my cat, look for my husband's face, look for my face, whatever. I don't care what you do. But if you have an icon, if you change your little icon to be other than just your initials, that is helpful for them to identify the homeroom.
Yeah, definitely. Make something that they can recognize.
Exactly. So the very first week is exploring those platforms. There were a ton of webinars, and it was overwhelming. And so I don't want you to get overwhelmed with the webinars and having to do this and having to be perfect. And I know all of you out there, I know you now. I've been working with you 2 years, and I know that you strive for excellence, and I love that about you. But I want you to take a step back. If you're having difficulties with this, imagine our families. So just do one platform for the first week, just Schoology only, right? Just master that with the scholars. If it takes 2 weeks, etc. So that is part of your schedule, is exploring those platforms. The fourth thing, a communication plan. So a lot of you have already communicated with your scholars. Great job. That is exactly what was asked of you. And then we are coming in to support. When I keep going we, that means office staff, Mr. Estrada and I. We're coming in to support you, and as well as Ms. Lucero. Thank you for helping. We're trying to keep a Google Doc. What's the purpose of the Google Doc? It's not to keep an eye on you. We don't have time for that. We've never had time for that. And I trust your professionalism with all these things. It's to track our school-dependent scholars. We have our families that came to school those last 3 days of this pandemic. A lot of them came, some of them did not, okay, but some of them came because they have to come. It's their childcare, it's their food, it's their whatever, right? So you have to keep that in mind. The whole purpose of the communication is that we keep an eye on our at-risk scholars. And so please use that Google Doc for any kind of communication. And I know special ed has another form, so that's been asked of me, do I use this or that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I guess I haven't even been all of a sudden I got an email special ed, and they're like, oh yeah, use this. I'm like, what? To me, it makes sense to use the Google Doc, because we can track all communication, right? If Ms. Merrick contacted the student, Ms. Cordero contacted the student, Ms. Presley contacted, so it keeps like a kind of a flow of communication. So how are you going to communicate with your scholars, initially? Then what is going to be the plan once learning starts? So you have, what's the plan for classwork, right? So when are you going to be presenting classwork, right? And the second thing is, what if a group of students need help? What's the plan to help those groups, right? Then what if there's individual help that a student needs? What is going to be, so the basic is, what is the plan? So is the plan every day at 9 o'clock log on for classwork, right? Is the plan in, hey, we're going to have a small group at 10:30 to help support this math concept? What's that plan? And then what's a scholar going to do if he or she needs individual help? So my biggest thing is communicate a plan and make sure that the parents know about it. Parents have always been a member of our team, but as you know, it's hard to get parents to schools and those sorts of things. And I hear it all the time. Oh, parents don't show up. Well, guess what? They don't have a choice now. So involve the parents. How do you want to communicate to your families? In our video that we made for Monday morning, we talked about block numbers. Please block your number, *67. We have been very, very forthright with all families answering block calls, because school officials should not be calling on your private phone without it being blocked. Okay, so just be cognizant of that. So what is the plan for communication? The final thing I want to review with you, actually 2 more things. Assignments. 2 assignments. For the first week, I want you to have one goal, and that is to issue 2 assignments and to have them turn it in. That's it. Or even 1. If you only feel comfortable with 1, 1's fine, right? Get onto Schoology, find this assignment, complete it, and turn it in. If it's 1 ELA, great. If it's 1 math, we have to see if the scholars know how to, A, get the assignments, complete the assignments, and then turn them in. So that is your one and only goal, 1 or 2 goals right there, assignments, for the first week. And keep it simple. So now I'm going to go on to some mindfulness of distance learning. This is also going to be in a webinar that Kim Newton and Mike Rich are putting together. They have not opened it up to the professional learning catalog yet, but out of all of the webinars that I've taken these past 2 weeks, and I'm not even kidding, this made the most sense. It's quick, it's not like a 2-hour webinar. It is concise, and it will help you for your first day of school. So it's just being mindful of distance learning. Do you mind holding this up for a second? So number 1 is structure. So I'm going to be using some cheat sheets here. Hold on just a second. So structure. So just like how Mr. Estrada and I, we just pre-recorded the Monday morning message. That's going to be every Monday, right? Excluding Memorial Day. That'll be on that following Tuesday. So what are the structures in place? You don't want to go away too much from your norm, right? They're used to kind of coming in and doing whatever you have going on in the morning, right? So create that structure. Then, of course, like I said before in the same this video, what is the structure? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Of course, you have to put in some breaks in there, right? It's the expectation of you just, the child sitting down and doing everything in 6 hours. Those expectations are too high. There has to be time in there for play, okay, and free play, okay? Really important. So what is the structure going to be? This is going to be communicated every single day. Don't go on the limb and say, oh, they know what the expectation is. No, they don't. This is the first day of school. Structure, 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 structure. Every day there needs to be some kind of structure, and it needs to be, in my opinion, you don't have to do this, write it out. This is the agenda for the day. This is the agenda for today. This is the agenda for the day. This is the agenda for the day. That's really important that you provide structure. How you do that is your own personal opinion. Okay, you could do it however you want. I'd recommend including the date. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. Today, here is our agenda, and have it written out, right? And okay, so the next thing is behaviors. Again, just like I said in this video, you have to establish the behavior. So give them some recommendations for student behavior. You are going to be in a different venue, right? You're not at school, you're in their homes and they're in your house. So you have to be thinking, what kind of behaviors can you support, right, as much as you can, and what kind of things can you help the parents with these student behaviors? That's critical. What is the schedule going to be? Sitting at the table with a quiet area. That would be important, right? Of course, we always have to have the caveat. There might be Kids running around like chickens with their heads cut off, right? Babies screaming, right? We're all dealing with it right now. So not me, but we're all dealing with it. So you just need to go with the flow with this. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean you lower your expectations. Invite the parents when possible. Have the older siblings. Hey, a lot of you know the older siblings. You've been working at this school a long time. You can have Jorge working with Guadalupe on this reading comprehension piece or whatever, right? So invite those older siblings to participate. In fact, during computer distribution, there were a lot of older siblings that were like, I'll help her. I'm in Hanshaw, I'm at Downey, I've got this. So we were very grateful for that. So get those older siblings involved. Remind the students to not allow the little ones to play with the Chromebook. These are all brand new Chromebooks. Every single one is a brand new Chromebook, okay? And we need to honor that. So I would recommend that you absolutely have that conversation with the parent. Hey, make sure to put the Chromebook up when they're not using it, yada, yada, yada. Don't eat or drink near the Chromebook, right? That needs to be stated to the parents and to the scholar. We're gonna talk about pedagogy next. And this is out of all 4 of these, pedagogy, I want you to listen to me because I know you all strive to be number 1, and I love it. That's what I love about Shack. However, I'm going to ask you to take a step back and to keep it simple. We don't want, just like the standards, just like the regular standards, the old 1997 standards, right? There's huge standards. You have to be in school till you're 42 years old, right? Forget that. You're keeping it simple. I'd rather you choose a few and go deeper with it than a whole blanket of them. A lot of people are saying, oh, there has to be new learning. It's recommended new learning, but could it be review? Yes. Could it be enrichment? Yes. Could it be project-based? Yes. This is where you're going to have that professional freedom. But keep it simple. If you do too much, you're beating a dead horse. Do not beat a dead horse. Keep it simple. Have a narrow focus. Narrow focus, and then you look at the standards. Is teaching a semicolon more important than teaching a period? No, it is not. Okay, I still don't even know how to use a semicolon, right? I mean, I kind of do. Sometimes I mess up. But periods, capital letters, yes. Structured paragraphs, yes. Keep it simple. What do they need for life? And I'm going to end with the last thing. And that is, one thing going back to pedagogy. I do, we do, they do, you do. I do, we do, they do, you do. Good teaching's good teaching, folks. Don't expect that, if they're dividing with decimals, don't throw in something that's going to throw them off, right? If you're teaching dividing with decimals, the expectation they know how to do dividing with decimals, right? Don't throw something in it there. I do, you do, they do. That means they can do it with their siblings or their parent. Then they can do a few independently. Good teaching is good teaching. Keep it simple. Finally, do's and don'ts of distance learning. Don't do it all. It was out of the district's control to give those webinars. But what happened is that they gave these webinars and you guys ran with it, right? There's no way you're going to be able to do it all. Pick a few, do them well. You're not going to be able to do it all. Pick a few, do them well. You're not going to be able to do it all. Use what the district made. It's fabulous. The very first day they opened up the webinars, I went in like, why would anybody recreate this? It is donezo. Use what they gave you, okay? It's not a requirement, it's just a recommendation. Collaborate. Invite us to your team's meetings. Maybe we have something that we have found out through our admin meetings that could help you. There should be, I would recommend, and you guys have already started this, a weekly minimum. I'd say more because of this distance learning and it's kind of hard and crazy. So when are your team's meetings? And invite us to them if you want. You don't have to, but maybe we have something that we can help you with. So collaborate even with other schools. If you're a 3rd grade teacher and you know of a great 3rd grade teacher at another school, invite them. Guess what? Everybody's wanted this for so long. We don't collaborate with other schools. Well, guess what? Now you can. invite them along. I believe Miss Harrington was able to steal some wonderful ideas from a Martone teacher. Great. Stealing is acceptable with distance learning and recommended. Why would you reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done it for you? All right. So I'm going to close with have fun with this. We love you. We're here to support you. Do you have anything to add?
Most definitely. I just want to let you all know that we've been in your classrooms. We know the amazing staff that we have at Shackelford. You guys are all amazing teachers. We know that this is a very difficult time, but at the end of the day, just focus on what you can do, and don't try to overdo anything. Just start slow, make it simple, review the basics with these students, and at the end of the day, like, just be cognizant of just everything that is going on in these students' lives, and they don't have what we have. They don't have the same lifestyles or the same situations, and just be aware that that's happening, and let's just try to accommodate that. And again, you guys are all awesome teachers. I am very grateful to be at the site because I've experienced what a family, what a real group looks like, and I appreciate that I can move forward with you guys into this, and know that if you have questions, just communicate with us, and we'll be there for you guys.
You have our phone numbers, you have our emails. Do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We are honored to work with you, just like Mr. Estrada said. Don't put on the COVID-19 pounds, like Miss McCann. We love you, and again, reach out to us if you need anything. God bless you all.